Hi guys, welcome to Mike's 3D Life. Welcome to the new series which is designing a golf swing, and we are here with my golf coach Dan Whittaker. Thank you very much for joining us on the channel, mate. And today we are coming up with a brand new plan for me, my golf game, my golf swing. I've got some ideas I've been thinking about, and we're just going to have a little chat, see where we want to go from here, come up with something that works well for me, maybe a little bit outside the box, and could potentially help you with your game.
Yeah, when you find the one you love, gotta make sure that you love them right. Yeah, when you find the one you love, gotta make sure that you love them right. Yeah, when you find the one you love, gotta make sure that you love them right. Yeah, when you find the one you love. I got a girl that compliments my fly, and when it goes down, I know she gon' ride. I finally got somebody I can call mine.
So I was thinking a month ago probably, and I was thinking about baseball, and I was thinking about sort of a baseball guy hitting the ball, and I was thinking he doesn't start his swing down sort of where the ball would be. He already is in his backswing.
Yeah.
And then he effectively has a trigger movement, takes a step and goes at the ball. And I was thinking, he's hitting a moving ball, and yet he is taking a step towards the ball and creating a huge amount of power. Why wouldn't that necessarily work for a stationary ball that was teed up on the ground? So I was talking this morning with Andrew. I sort of said to him about this idea about why does a golf swing need a backswing? Because the way I sort of was thinking about it, in baseball, a hitter kind of waiting for a ball. He's kind of in that position.
The other thing that's happening is that they're not hitting a stationary ball. The ball's coming this way, so they're basically having to transmit the energy to the ball and then turn it back the opposite way.
Yeah.
Which is why they can do that and still hit the ball a long way.
Yeah.
For a ball that's at standstill, you have to create momentum on that ball because it's got no momentum coming in.
But they do still generate a lot of power and speed.
Oh, they do.
And
They do, and they've still got a transition effect.
And they have that step that kind of into the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you could do.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Is that I'm thinking that you're just going to start there.
Yeah.
What you could do is start there.
Well,
And then hit like a Happy Gilmore type.
Yeah. Actually, we were talking about Matthew Wolf. It's kind of, have you seen kind of some of those guys?
Yeah.
So they lift obviously that left heel.
Yeah.
Quite high off the ground in the backswing, so they're kind of doing that step just without moving their foot as much, really, aren't they?
Yeah, but if you look as far back as Jack Nicklaus, Jack used to do that.
Yeah.
He probably not as exaggerated, but he was well known for lifting his left heel and then dropping it back down. And you look at the long drive guys now; they do exactly that.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that there is a lot around the modern golf swing that doesn't have a great deal of research to back it up. Is very opinion based, and we've got ourselves stuck in a bit of a rut of what we see the golf swing should look like. Yeah. And that information we just ran through, the characteristics that are desirable in golf swing, that's why I teach it to the PGA professionals, because it moves them away from that and it moves them around concepts and philosophies rather than spoon feeding them. This is what every golf swing should look like.
You know, I'm not a professional golfer. I'm never going to be a professional golfer. So the bit that makes actually the most sense to me is actually short game. Because if you say we're hitting a pitch shot, you could get the club in exactly the spot you want it, exactly the length of backswing you want it, and then all you have to control is the acceleration down into the ball.
But the distances are much shorter. If you think about the relationship between club head speed, it has a correlation to distance. So lots of short game shots that you're hitting, I completely agree. They're around this kind of half to 3/4 swing. It's very controlled, and you're working much more around precision, loft of the ball, controlling spin rate. Whereas with something like your driver, you're never controlling the spin rate that much. It's all about distance and all about direction. So I think different shots will lend themselves well to different types of setup, and this is the other thing. The only thing that traditionally has ever changed around your golf swing, you will change stance position relative to the ball, or maybe with a bunker shot, you know, how open or shut you're standing, depending on what you want to do with the flight shape of the ball as much as anything. Other than that, there's not a massive amount of variation,
No,
is there?
exactly,
And that's
yeah.
always been held up as a good thing.
Yeah.
We keep the same goal swing, and with draw or fade,
Yeah.
we just open or shut the stance, but you
Yeah.
basically make the same goal swing.
Yeah.
And that's maybe something to have a look at as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because the way I see it going is obviously with something like the longer clubs with the driver, you would probably need some sort of step into the ball to get sort of power and momentum. But then with short game and stuff, it would actually be quite simple. You just get the club in the right position and you just turn through it.
Yeah.
And it could actually be a lot more consistent.
The issue that you've got with the driver and maybe doing something like a step into the ball would be that you're creating more moving parts and less stability in terms of the ground reaction forces, because you've got to control the step. If that step isn't in the right place, you're then going to have to make more adjustments with the upper body to essentially create a point of impact which is very small on a golf club face. So the margin for error probably increases by taking a step until you're used to it. But potentially with a step, and with a step that's well controlled, there is potential for more club head speed.
Yeah, because also you could actually set up normally to the ball, then just put your left foot back against your right foot. In that way, you know, you're in the right position you want to be in
Set
every
up from
single
a
time.
traditional stance
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
step and hit,
Exactly. There's a potential for more power, potentially, with the longer clubs.
Yeah.
And there's a potential for more consistency, distance-wise, with some of the shorter clubs.
Well, if you look at it from a perspective, I suppose, at different ends of this, I suppose you've got, like if we take a 7-iron, a wedge and a driver, with this one we want to increase the power. With this one we want precision, and this one we want consistency. So I suppose in one way, why wouldn't that lead to a different swing? So with this one we have a step, with this one we have a traditional swing, and in this one we have no backswing. So you have 3 different swings based on what you're trying to do. This one, the emphasis is power, so that's why we need the step. That one we want consistency, we might leave that as a traditional swing, because actually if we take no backswing, we're not going to get enough club head speed to get the ball distance that we want. But we don't need to take a step, because actually it's not that type of swing pattern. Whereas this one, we're not so bothered about club head speed. We want precision of control, and with a more consistent application of the swing with no backswing, we're more likely to see that. So that's how the 3 swings might look.
But the question is, where do we start?
I think we have to start with developing the model, outlining those desirable characteristics of the golf swing, and then what yourself and Dan can do is plug the technical aspects into that as a model. You guys can plug what you maybe want to see into that model, and that gives us the starting point that everything works off.
At first he said no, because you couldn't generate enough power as if you were loading into the backswing. But then he said, well, actually, if you set up to the ball and then put your left foot back against your right foot, there's no reason you couldn't then take a step into the ball and hit the ball. I thought it was quite an interesting concept, because not only would you, for a driver, be creating a huge amount of power and using the ground effectively and rotating into the ball, but also, for me, it would also make sense in the short game, say a chip or a pitch shot, because you don't have to worry about how far back the club goes. Say you're hitting a 50-yard pitch shot and you want to get your left arm parallel to the ground. You could start the club in the exact position you wanted to before you even hit the shot, and then all you have to control is the speed at which you accelerate into the ball. Which, I mean, if you imagine a pendulum and you take it up to the same place each time you drop it, it's going to fall at the exact same speed. So I was thinking, is that possible in the golf swing? Would it make someone more consistent?
And are we saying that when you take it to that top of the backswing,
Yeah.
you're going to just position the club to the top, or is it going to involve a turn that creates the rotation that's going to have the power?
So I think this is the thing we need to experiment with, you know, how it would work in golf, because in baseball you're hitting a ball that's up here.
Yeah.
In golf you're hitting a ball that's down there. So there would definitely be a turn a kind of wind up involved. Probably doing somewhat of a 3/4 turn and then maybe taking a step and creating separation in the lower and upper body.
But with that 3/4 turn, would it be that you've made the 3/4 turn and then you put the pause in, so you kind of like positioned yourself into that area?
Yeah.
How do you?
That is the question. It depends, because I think me and Andrew came up with this sort of, wrote down a few notes. So with driver, you would have a step towards the ball to create power.
Yes.
Maximum power, basically. With a 7-iron, you want consistency. So potentially you wouldn't have to change as much. Maybe you wouldn't have a step, or maybe you'd have a much smaller step. But and then with like a wedge, you could just have no backswing and just you could wind up to the top of the backswing, get in the position you want to be in, and then just let things fall down into the ball. And it wouldn't be 3 different swings, it would kind of be blended, you know, with a 3-wood you'd still take a step, with the longer irons maybe a smaller step, etc. And then working down to the shorter clubs, you just get in that position and then just turn through it.
So I remember quite a few years ago now, I read a magazine article where Ledbetter had done a sort of interview with someone, and he said that he thought potentially one of the modern ways to go might be that somebody who comes along who starts off and pretty much out the top of the backswing and makes a swing from there. Now, one thing that he said is you'd have to be incredibly strong to be able to do that.
Okay, I mean,
clearly specimen, mate, so you're going to kill it. So that was one of the things that he was saying that you would need to have. Now, just thinking about it from the standpoint of when I've seen other students, not necessarily mine, but other people's students, when I've seen swings and they've paused at the top, sometimes one thing you got to be aware of is that you don't want to start down without that bit of a step, because that's going to guarantee that you then get that sequencing right from the ground up.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of people who might necessarily try and start that swing down and they do it a little bit too much from the upper body, and that's when everything gets so much out of position.
Yeah. Definitely this would be very much about, especially where we would start, I think, is how to use the ground.
Yeah.
And it would be effectively trying to use the lower body as much as possible in all of these, you know, making sure that you start the downswing with the lower body. And me and Andrew were sort of talking about, he was saying that what he will do is kind of, and the first thing we need to do is build a framework around which, and not sort of a technical framework, but more of like a checklist of what the things we need to be able to doing that all sort of elite players do, no matter what technique they do, which is sort of using the ground while creating pressure through the ground and those sorts of things. He was also saying if there's anyone who it would suit to experiment this and to do this with, it would be myself, because I'm not a professional golfer. I have no aspirations of becoming a professional golfer, whereas like what he was saying with the professional golfers he works with, they're too far down their own path to make certain changes, or they're too worried about results to really take a step backwards and then try something new, etc. And also I have enough time that I can practice and put work into this, and also spend a decent amount of time in the gym to see how my body moves physically and try and improve that. But as a concept, what are your thoughts? Do you think, because I didn't know about Ledbetter, that he'd actually said that already. I was thinking to myself, I bet someone said this, but like...
Yeah, it was part of a magazine article, so maybe like 10 years ago that I read it. I'd say that provided you're going to be able to get yourself into a position to start from at that top of the back where you've got coil every time, I think that's got to be the key, is how you're going to get yourself in the position to start the swing is going to be the most important thing. Yeah. I'd say that around the greens, it might not necessarily be the best way for you to do it from sort of like 30 yards and in, only because sometimes you can become quite adaptive to different shots, how you're going to change the angle on the way through, you'll change it going back. A lot of those can be flare and, you know, a lot of those things are dictated to by the setup and the way you open the club at address and different things. But on full shots and up to half and pitch shots, sort of like 50% swings, then definitely can work 100%. But I would just, I'd say on that short game, because you're going to change the loft, change the trajectory, change the spin, all those things have got a lot of variability in it. And you look at the very best short game players over the years, they've been totally adaptive to the situations, the environment, the lies, whatever they do, they find themselves in. So everything is going to be changing all the time. Whereas I'd say that for the full swings, the 3/4 swings, the half swings, where it has basically got a technique that you're going to use and employ, it's got legs, definite. And, you know, if it's up for an experiment and seeing what it goes with it, why not give it a go?
Yeah, definitely. What do you think of it in regards to putting as well? Because potentially, as I was talking about, like the pendulum, you could literally get yourself in the right position with the length of backstroke you want for that length of putt, and then just...
Because you're trying to apply a force on the downstroke, it would need to have somebody who maybe knows a tad more expertise on specific putting than me on this one. But one thing that I would say is, because you're starting your putting from a standing start here, you need to be careful that, because you don't have anything else to start the swing apart from your upper body and your arms and your hands, that you don't try and drive that in. The hands don't drive it in first, which leaves the putter head behind you, which therefore goes against everything you're trying to achieve. Because you've got to create the movement from somewhere. So you're not going to move your legs, because people don't use their legs that much when they put. They're pretty stationary, pretty stable, and everything's about creating a very much more stable unit when you're putting and getting something that's working sort of one unit. My thought would be that if you're starting from one position there, if you're going to need to apply some force through it, that's got to, you've got to get that power being generated from somewhere. So it's a case of, how are you going to get that power system to come in place? It's also going to give a dexterity a touch, which means that you can control how hard you put the force through that putter head into the ball. Now, only experimenting and seeing what can happen with that would tell you whether it's a great way to go or whether it's not necessarily a great way. But that one would be completely open to, right, what's it like on a putting green, say indoor? Can you hit a start line? Can you start to control pace? Okay, right then, let's see what it does outdoors on a variety of different puts, from different lies, uphill, downhill, how much you can adjust. And if you become really good at it, doing it that way, well, if it works, why change it? But it's a case of try it in the different environments and then make a decision based on what results it's giving you.
Definitely.
And I'd say the same for the swing. Say, give it a go, see what happens with it. If you find that it's not giving you the results you want, well, adapt it a little bit. Maybe make something that's got a full backswing that's got a pause at the top for a second or two while you're in position.
Hideki Matsuyama kind of thing.
Just find out what's going to work for you, but as an experiment, go for it.
Should we get in there and
give it a go?
Give it a go? Okay, let's do it. It feels like I definitely need to stand further away from it.
That's one more of a Matsuyama type swing, where you've turned to the top, paused, and then made the move. Okay? Okay? Are you thinking more of, okay, well, so if we think baseball, we're stood here, and that's going to be the position, we'll say, right, I'm now at the top. Okay, paused, and then going. Because obviously that's then not a backswing, is it? So it's not, I've not made a backswing at that point, I've just sort of got the arm somewhere near. Whichever way it is I do, you know, whether I do that or whether I do that, it doesn't matter. As long as I've got the shoulder turn, my arms up, that's all that matters, okay? So therefore I then pause, ready to go, and then I make the movement. Or are you thinking coiling up like that one did, which has got a pause and then makes a move, or like the first one did, which had there and had some change in direction? Which one are you thinking?
I think coil. I mean, I think the shoulders and body have to coil, and I think they should already be like that, because if you then take a step and that that lower body moves, then you're really creating that separation, aren't you?
Yes.
Whereas if you just had the arms sort of there, then I guess everything's going to move together a bit more.
So because when you, the reason I ask is obviously a lot of your stuff when we're talking to begin with, we're saying, will it be more consistent because I've just got it into a position? Whereas now what we've done there is you've actually still turned and just paused to check it's in a position.
So I've got my body in the position, not
you've not. So I'd say the two quite different. When you look at a baseball player, they aren't coiling and then waiting.
They've just got their arms resting, and then
they're just there. So the two are quite different, aren't they? And obviously, if I just go like this and I put the arm there, as I react, I'm waiting. Whereas I would say that your movement's going to be more like you think about it, it's probably a bit more like a tennis player would be.
Okay.
Okay, so they're going to create loads of power.
Yeah, they're going to be there.
But they've already turned, and then they're moving for the ball. So they've moved, and then they've stepped and turned and hit it. So they've stepped, hit the forehand that way, which is golf, but there. See, baseball is semi-golf, but here. But if we think about what they're doing is they've got that bat here, and then they're making that movement. But they're also hitting it very much this way, where they've got it there, and they've made that movement across. When you watch it, that little leg posts back up this way. Which is, if you look at the longest drivers, you know, the national long drive guys, they do that with a driver.
Cameron Champ does that.
Well, but he doesn't do it with an iron.
No.
So it's something that you could do to put into it with a driver and with your irons. But I would be saying that watching how you move already, that it's not going to be just starting from a static. It looks like that you want to create a wind up.
Because I think obviously if you're static there, I mean I'm still in a position I've got shoulder turn, but there's not a huge amount of torque through my sort of, obviously, whereas if I get into a golf swing and then just take a normal backswing, creating a lot more stretch. And sort of static energy, whereas if I'm there, I just turn, I haven't got as much stretch. So then, as that steps forward and the lower body moves, that's where I'm putting in sort of the torque and power to it, I guess. So, I would say, it probably would be more like a tennis player actually, which I used to be a tennis player. So
that would make sense as to what you want to get, because it fit with what you're doing. Whereas starting from static, which is what Ledbetter was saying, is that somebody would just start off, position the arms and club, and then make the move. So it's not a dynamic movement, which is what this one is. Okay, this is more of a dynamic movement, which is going to get loads of power. Okay. But whereas the other one might be that the club's just sort of positioned anywhere up there, and then it gets reacted to. The way that you're moving now is doing it the way that you've tried these first two, whether it's even a pause up there or it's not much pause, but it's got a change in direction. It's similar to a tweak on various and and creating a golf swing that's your golf swing, and trying it. Whereas the other way is completely different. But that's why I'd say, I was saying about short game and different things like that. Because if you had it where you literally just went, I'm going to hit my chip shot from here, or I'm going to hit my chip shot from here, or I'm going to hit it from here, or make that pitch shot just from there, all of a sudden you've not created anything. So you have to do it all in that transition.
So what if you then, with the short game like we were talking about, what if you then did create some sort of...
Well, you'd only just doing what you've just done there, which would be sort of almost hitting short game shots where I'd go, right, I've got it here, okay, we've just got a slight pause, okay?
I get you.
It's only, it's basically a Matsuyama, but with a really dynamic movement. I'm not saying it isn't dynamic, but, it's just creating more separation and using the ground more and more power. It's really completely different to, say, a baseball shot.
So we won't do a step then, it would just like we do.
Do a step.
Do a step,
okay. So right.
So but it would be like there.
So just put your arms somewhere near the top. Okay.
But not with as much turn.
So you can probably be up there somewhere. Right, now from there, hang on 10 seconds. Right. Create a step and try and hit the ball.
I feel like I need to take a little bit of step away from it.
So straight away, I know it might take you a few to get used to that, but your first two with that dynamic step and the movement you did it, are 5 miles an hour faster than that one.
It felt like I couldn't generate as much speed on that.
So when Ledbetter said you've got to be incredibly strong to generate the power, because you've got to be able to do that in a non-dynamic way.
I mean, 85, this is obviously an 8-iron, that's my normal ball speed, swing speed with an 8-iron. So when we went up to 89 before, that was...
So 89.8, it's 90 miles an hour there.
With an 8-iron, that's, I mean,
That's great. So it shows that having that step in there, creating that separation, is going to increase speed.
Yeah.
But it's got to be done in a dynamic fashion.
So we've got to do it more like I did in the first couple, and then maybe not so much. Maybe like.
Yeah, because it's not as completely and utterly radical. It doesn't need to be radical.
It feels more natural to me, definitely, and that's the whole point of this: is to find something that works for me, that makes sense, not that's just different.
Yeah, because there's no point in being different for different sake.
No, exactly. It needs to
make
sense
to make it better for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'd also then go and start this, and this would be one of the questions I'd ask you.
Yeah.
What's the number one reason behind you making these changes? Yeah. And this is where it's really important for you, okay? Because I've had people who come in and they think that they're making some changes because, or changing things because they want to get more consistency. Yeah. Whereas actually, when I listen to them, eventually, that isn't the reason. Yeah. Okay. So what would be your number one thing for making the change to the way we're going to do it?
I think Well, like I said to Andrew this morning, I was like, my priority, not just with this change, but in my golf swing, is not getting injured. So, but I think with this, it's similar. It's not the same. But my priority, the why I'd be doing it, is to try and use my body in the most effective way possible to deliver consistency, but also probably consistency number one, but then performance and sort of speed and everything like that comes after. I mean, I've never struggled with hitting a golf ball far enough, but it can't just be far. There's no point in hitting a golf ball far if it's not consistent. You're just going to hit it further offline then. So I think the reason I want to try this and make this change is because it makes sense to me, and I don't see why it would be certainly any less consistent than I already was, and potentially a lot more consistent, with also potentially more speed and power to come with that. But I mean, obviously with an 8-iron, you don't need speed and power. You need distance control. You need shot shaping. The rest of it, you need to be able to know where it's going consistently. So, but then through the bag, I guess that would shift with the driver. We'd be looking at more speed and bombing shots down the fairway, whatever. And then as it moves through the bag to the wedges, we'd be looking at really, controlling that distance, controlling that flight, spin, whatever it is, really consistently. Yeah. So that's kind of my thinking behind it, I guess.
I'm a bit controversial now. I'm listening dead intently to what you said there. Didn't interrupt you at all. The number one thing I get out of what you're saying now, all of it is, aim number one will be not getting injured, but I think it's about you trying to see where your speed can get to, and then narrowing it in. Because everything's about because you mentioned consistency at the start and then didn't really mention it again. It was like the number one thing at the start, and everything else is about speed and power, and that's not a problem. Okay, genuinely, it's not right. Because I've got a guy who I teach, and I said to him, "What do you want to achieve out of it?" And to start off with, he was talking about getting more consistency. It was all about speed and power. I asked him a specific question. I said, "If you get down to scratch handicap at the same distance you do right now, how does it make you feel?" He's like, "No, I want to get the most out of it." Okay, so your goal is to get speed and power. Okay, so it's not a problem because he said, once I've got the speed and power, I feel I can narrow it in and learn all the other bits to then get myself down to the scratch. Okay, but for him, the number one goal was to get more speed out of himself.
I think for me, it's similar to that, but actually it's using my body in the best way possible. So making sure I get 100%. Well, you never swing 100% hard, but like I get the most effective way biomechanically of using my body. Yes, that would be to create more speed, because if you're using your body more efficiently, you would create more speed. But because we're then working on kind of using the lower body more rotational, that's why I think it would create more speed, just more solid strike, more consistency overall kind of thing. So I kind of see those two coming maybe hand in hand a little bit, kind of. If I can just, obviously we need to decide where we're going, what it wants to look like, everything like that. But then it's just going to be about grinding it in, really, isn't it? It's just going to be about working on changes we're working on and trying to get to that.
Yeah.
And that's where maybe the consistency side of thing comes from. Because you can be consistent with any golf swing if you can repeat it over and over again. It doesn't matter what it looks like.
No.
But I think that's why I think that my priority is using my body effectively, but then making it repeatable, and then that's where kind of the consistency comes in my thought process behind it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course it does, yeah. So when we have a look at the first, go back to these two that you hit really well, or pretty quickly, but the one thing that we saw was the path wasn't wildly out on either of them.
No.
1.7, 0.7, it's nothing. But it's the club face issue that we've got to work out.
Yeah.
So, wind up to the top, but with the feet on that really narrow stance of where you're going to be from the ball. Okay, so get your narrow stance of where you're going to have it. Now, what I would be saying is the first thing you want to do is get sort of your alignment sticks down and put some sort of electric tape around it so you get used to how far your step's going to be with each club. Because if that varies, then your low point's going to change every time. And if it changes, if I change the direction of the step, so if I step that way, I'm obviously attacking ball into out. If I step that way, but not as far, making it out to in, I'm probably going to have the ball on the third on the back foot. And so that's going to be one of the key bits to put into your little step.
And potentially later on, that could be something we look at for shot shaping. Potentially, if I want to hit a draw, I just work on maybe having the alignment stick slightly further to the right and work on a little bit more to the right or a little bit more to the left.
What's your thoughts on this one?
I mean, a long way down the road.
Okay, what's your thoughts on this one? Okay. Just as a complete, it's the same thing as what you're trying to do, but in a slightly different manner. Okay. Take it to almost a slightly more normal golf swing position, golf posture.
Okay, so just set up normal.
Just do an experiment this for me. Take it to the top with that wound up position. Okay. But as you get to there, let that left heel feel like it's weightless. Okay. Now from there, slam that. What would happen is that would slam and rotate. So that might would create the same amount of velocity down, but you've not got to time what the step's going to be. Because obviously saw Harrington quite a while ago doing those step ones. Now it can be a great way to learn that separation, how it's going to work. But he's obviously adapted that and doesn't use that in tournament golf now. But he did do to generate power, because it was a great way to sequence from the ground up to get power. But what about if we were able to get the levels of consistency but get the speed maxed out, but you were able to sort of almost make that weightless with that little pause and then create that downward movement. So you're still getting the same benefits from it, but you're not putting a variable in of having to learn what step pattern to make.
Or what if, we were watching those baseball swings, he's already kind of far apart, but then he just goes further. So what if we just went far apart, but the entire left foot came off the ground, but then went almost back to where it was, kind of thing, something like that as well.
You could let the whole thing come up, or you could just keep a little bit on it and then let it go.
Or just, I'll try that, shall I? Try keeping that sort of.
I just think I want you to see what that looks like from a movement standpoint for you.
Good strike.
Because what you end up doing is and it's all about whether at that top of the backswing, whether you want, and this will be down to you more than what I would want, because you're the person who's going to have to play with it. Okay, whether you want to have it where you have the complete pause at the top, or whether you want to have it where it's a bit more dynamic, a bit more change in direction to it. Okay. So just because obviously that was pretty good there. If you have a look at this, you'll see the left heel's nicely up there, and then you could see how you started to move it across.
So guys, just to sum up what's happened in this video. First, we met Andrew Caldwell and I discussed my idea, which was basically, why does a golf swing need a backswing? Could you potentially start at the top of your backswing and then move down into the ball? Or do you need that backswing to be able to create power to then move into the ball? Now, I thought this was quite a simple idea. in the fact that you're taking away something from the golf swing which doesn't necessarily need to be there. So I spoke to Andrew about it. What me and Andrew spoke about, which you would have seen a little bit earlier in this video, just to sum it up, we basically said that yes, in theory it is possible. We were talking a little bit about how a baseball batsman would approach hitting the ball. They start their arms at the top of the backswing here, and then they take a step and move into the ball. So we decided to come up with a system that if you were hitting driver, longer irons and woods, you would start at the top, take a step, move down into the ball. If you were hitting a shorter iron, you would potentially take a small step or no step, and if you're hitting wedges and pitches and stuff like that, you would take no step. You would just start at the top and then move down into the ball because you're trying to create more precision and less power. So then we went and met my golf coach, Dan Whittaker, and I spoke with Dan about this, as you would have seen in this video. So just to sum that up, what Dan was saying is, yes, you can do it again, but how are you going to do it? Because there's a lot of different ways you could do it. For example, I could just move my arms to the top of the swing without turning my shoulders much, and then move down into the swing, or take a step down. And this is more like what a baseball player does. They don't have a huge amount of shoulder turn away because obviously they need to be looking where the ball is. So they're kind of set up like this. Then they wind up and go. Or are you going to wind up first, there, huge amount of shoulder turn, take a step down into the ball and go. And basically there are quite a lot of different ways. I hadn't really thought about how you're going to do this. So we decided to pick it apart a little bit. What is my priority? My number one priority is not creating a golf swing where I'm going to get injured. So basically creating a stable golf swing where I keep my posture, move through the ball consistently, and can practice a lot, work on it a lot, play a lot of golf without worrying about getting injured. For me, I personally think Bryson DeChambeau has the best posture throughout his golf swing as probably any professional golfer on the PGA Tour. Well, now, if I'm swinging a little bit like a baseball player, or even like a tennis player, in which the fact I'm getting set up here, and then I'm unwinding here, I'm going to be putting a lot of pressure through my spine, through creating separation, but also my spine is going to be slightly more curved. If you imagine a baseball player's up here, and they're stepping and hitting the ball here, they don't have to create any bend forwards in their hips because the ball is up here instead of being down here. Now, so we decided slightly against this because really it would have put a lot of pressure through my lower back, through just my back in general, through my spine, through my muscles, could cause injury quite quickly. So what we came up with then is that we're going to have sort of a very slow backswing, not worry about the backswing too much, kind of get to the top there. I'm going to be lifting this left heel up off the ground, which is going to help me create more turn, help me load into my right glute and hip more, create more shoulder turn, more hip turn, and I'm also going to create some thoracic extension. So instead of being very over the ball there, I'm going to actually be staying a little bit more upright, creating more sort of lateral movement in my spine, more extension there. Instead of just moving around my body, like so, I'm going to actually be extending my spine a little bit. This is going to help me create more turn, more power, and use my legs more effectively. Then, from the top of the backswing, I'm going to stamp that left heel down, shifting my weight more into that heel, helping me create more power, use my glutes more effectively, and then I'm going to be able to help keep my posture throughout the golf swing, try and stay more upright, put less pressure through my spine, and help create a huge amount of consistency. Now this is going to evolve throughout this series we're doing of designing the golf swing. We're going to explore not just this, but a lot of other possibilities in the golf swing, help me build the best golf swing for myself, for my body, to achieve my goals, which is a consistent golf swing, doesn't get me injured, creates a lot of power, uses my body in the most effective way possible. Really hope you guys have enjoyed this first video in the Designing a Golf Swing series. If you have, feel free to comment your thoughts down below, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks guys, have a great day.